just to begin on a sort of fun note, did you go to the movies as a kid? And if you did, were any films or actors favorites of yours?
I did. I tried to go to the movies, a lot, but as a kid, you have to go with your parents,
Right.
so I was always trying to talk my mom into going with me. I remember seeing E.T. in the theaters. I actually saw it at a drive-in.
Oh, wow.
And I absolutely loved it.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Good first one.
That was my first one. And then, I remember seeing, the Elephant Man. It was one of the first movies I remember seeing. Miracle Worker. But not in the theater.
Mm-hmm. And do you remember, was there a moment when it first occurred to you that you wanted to be an actress or that you were an actress? Was there a moment? Or?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It was actually, I'll try and give you the condensed version,
Sure.
but for me, I felt like at a young age, I learned about classism and, growing up poor, and my friends didn't have a problem with it, but their parents didn't really want me to play with them. So I just dove into some of the movies I told you about the Elephant Man and Miracle Worker, and these were stories, that I related to. They were the outsider, and all of a sudden I felt like I had a friend within these characters in the movies. Scout and To Kill a Mockingbird and the books that I read, and I thought when I was watching those movies or reading those books, I felt like I could relate, and in that moment I thought, wow, I want to do this. I want to tell stories. And that's really kind of how it came about, was that I would learn more about myself in learning about someone else's story. And that's continued to be my fascination about being an actor, is I love people, and I love their stories, and I love how similar we are, yet also how different we are. And I just think that human beings are a fascinating group.
Absolutely. In order to do it sort of professionally, you obviously had to come to LA, and so I just want to, I guess this touches back on what you referred to about your childhood and sort of where you came from, but maybe you can explain the environment that you left and that you arrived into when you got to LA, because it wasn't sort of arriving at the top. You had to pay your dues and live.
Yeah, definitely paid the dues.
Right.
I think that anything, though, that you want to achieve, you have to work hard, and you have to start from somewhere, and it gives you I try and think of those times so that I just it keeps me grounded. Leaving where I grew up was exciting for me, to move out of that and to go to Los Angeles and pursue my dream. My mom and I, as you know, or may not know, drove down in a Cadillac Supreme. I think that's Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme, rather. And it was $75, and we lived out of the car for a few weeks. And for me, it was nothing but an exciting adventure. A lot of people are like, "What? That's crazy! You were homeless." And for me, it was, like I said, I was about halfway through my 15th year, and it was all exciting and a great adventure, and one I look upon fondly.
And you got there, and as you say, that brief period in the car, and then, from what I've read, a house, and just not to make it a soap, but it is an amazing story.
I guess it is. It's amazing that I guess to me that I am a working actor right now, and I am living this dream that I had when I was 8 years old, and I'm able to tell stories that make me a better person, that make my heart bigger and help me learn more about the world and the conditions that help make up the world. And my mom got a job, and then I slowly started working. We rented a room from a single mom first, my mom and I shared that room, and then eventually, when we made enough money, we rented a house together. And then when I was 18, I got The Next Karate Kid, and that was my moving out of the house, because that was filmed in Massachusetts, in Boston.
And that one and some of those other early roles eventually led to, I know, the part on Beverly Hills 90210, and I wanted to just ask you, because people often say how, one door closes, another one opens, but it's not always the case. In this case, it kind of was. And I maybe for people who don't know the story, you can explain how that led to this next chapter that you're...
Definitely. I actually do always believe that one door closes, another opens all the time. It's just, if you're looking too closely at the door that's still closed, you might not see the other door open. I was on Beverly Hills 90210. I signed onto a 2-year contract. And about halfway through my first year, I was called in to the executive's office and told that I was being let go. And I said, I'm being fired. And they said, you're being let go. I said, I'm being fired. And I was actually devastated because I thought I wasn't good enough to be on 90210 in its 8th season, by the way. No one's even watching it anymore at this point. And 2 months later, I got Boys Don't Cry. So that I wouldn't have been able to do that had I not obviously gotten let go.
And Boys Don't Cry, just to put that in some context, my understanding is that for like 3 years they were looking for somebody, and hundreds of people, and you came along. How did that actually happen?
I remember I read this script and I thought it was a phenomenal script. Carrie Barden was casting, and I went in and I was just, scratching the surface of what I would trying to pass as a boy for my audition. I remember going in and they didn't know who I was. It was actually also Jennifer McNamara was casting with Carrie at that time. We were at the Chateau Marmont, and we were going up the elevator to do the audition, and Jennifer was looking at her clipboard and looking back at me and looking at her clipboard and trying to figure out who I was, the next person going in to read. And I had read for them many, many times. Right. And she finally went, Hilary? Because I was, just trying to do something with my voice and an accent. So that was fun.
What I hope I can do as we make our way towards Conviction is just touch upon the fact, something that comes up again with Conviction, but that's always seems to come up with you, is how much you immerse yourself in these parts. And I think it's something that you're very well known for, and I want to, if you'll humor me, if I can mention a few of the different roles, if you can just sort of talk about some of what you put yourself through physically and mentally to become these characters.
Sure, love to.
Thank you. And the first one again, staying on Boys Don't Cry. I don't have to tell you, it's pretty amazing that what the transformation looked like.
Thanks.
So just what went into that one?
Into the preparation
into
voice?
the preparation and what you physically and sort of...
I think I just feel a huge responsibility in, especially when the character was real life, to do justice to the story. I knew that when I stepped onto the set, the actors would say their lines, which their characters believed that they thought I was a boy, but I wanted to be sure that I was really passing as a boy. It was the only way I felt that I could do justice to Brandon Dina's story and to this person who I grew to love enormously. And so I passed as a boy for 4 weeks and tried to understand why someone thought I was a girl, and when I was trying to pass, and then when I did pass, and they'd say, this get this kid, he wants a Coke, why did that work? And it was a fascinating time, because also nobody knew who I was. I was, an unknown actor. I mean, relatively unknown, except for the few who watched 90210 in its 8th season.
Right.
And so it was it was just a time that it was a fascinating look into humans and their though, because some people that I'd known who didn't know I was me, and I would tell them I was my cousin James from Iowa. When they found out, when I would say, no, it's me, some of them would get angry at me. They were angry at the idea that they felt that I had tricked them.